To my channel, I'm Jane Bernard. You're very much welcome to my YouTube channel or podcast channel. If you listen to this from AudioMac, please do not forget to follow and on subscription on WeChat channel. Follow and on YouTube channel, please subscribe. I'm here again with another amazing guest, and today I have three of them, three amazing people, doctors in the building. I'll start with the one by my right. Please, could you tell us who we are?
Okay. Hi, my name is Roland. I'm from Cote d'Ivoire, and I just graduated from Shandong University. I finished my PhD in economics. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. And to my left, the first person on my left, please, can you tell us who you are?
Thank you for hosting us.
Thank you.
My name is Mohamed Zakole. I come from Uganda. What PhD candidate student, I don't know, but I just finished my PhD in economics at Shandong University Central Campus. Yeah, and we are here to talk about stuff.
Okay, and to the how do I put it? Please.
I'm Davo, and I'm Nigerian. I also did a doctorate in economics at Shandong University. And thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for coming to my show today. So you guys, today is going to be a very unique topic, and we're going to take ourselves back in time. I think the focus for today is mainly two things, like what are the things you would have told your younger self if you were given a chance to go back in time, and what would you have done differently if you're given the chance. All right, so maybe I could start with me, or should I can anyone else start? For Colin.
Oh, I don't know. The random call was on me, but I think, what would I do to my younger self, or what would I write? Maybe first of all, I'll get a Manila, very big Manila.
What's a Manila?
A Manila paper.
Oh my god.
Manila paper with a marker. And start
Okay.
jotting down every point so that it's clear and bold. Maybe I would put it on every favorite places in the house. And I think, of course, definitely, one of the things I'll definitely tell to my younger self is one, like we said, all of us have been at doctorate school and doing economics. Maybe I would have started elementary math in nursery school to be able to man up to pure math and statistics in graduate school. But also as well to my younger self, I would have wanted to know even go deeper and deeper. If there's even a deepest and deeper, I would want to do that. My younger self would also definitely maybe have done other things. Because now when you see kids who are 10 doing crazy and important things, oh my God, you think about your life and it feels like, oh, when you're 10, you didn't mark up to the right success. So to my younger self, I would really ask them to look at that Manila several times. Because I remember one time they asked me what job I wanted to do when I was younger. And I looked at these guys who put fuel in cars, and they had these big bundles of money.
Oh.
So every time I used it, I want to be like those guys who work at the petrol stations, because they used to have a lot of money. So to my younger self, maybe I would be more sober because I would know that that money doesn't belong to the pump attendant, but it belongs to a big loud Ben who may be out there just chilling. Money is coming into the account. Yeah, definitely. That's where I would start my journey of my younger self.
Okay, but do you think you would have known all of this if you were younger? Or probably because you're given the chance to travel back?
Remember that time there were very many things we're limited to. Currently, we have information where you even feel a headache, you go and Google, I feel a headache on the left-hand side of my head. What would be the cause?
Sure.
I have 3 habits. What defines these 3 habits? You are an introvert. So the information is a lot. But those days, man, if you think about something, it may end there. I remember that they used to tell us stories when you, like now we have a very big topic on mental health. And when there's a lot of these mental health issues, there are now mental facilities and counselors. Those days our parents used to say when you had a challenge, go and pray. Put your Bible under below the pillow. The Lord will listen to those prayers. So there are quite very many things that have changed. So maybe now, if I was younger, then there were other things I would do better, because that time was limited to information, to exposure, to maybe even parents who are cool, if I'm to really say it in the current terminologies or slangs. Cooler parents.
A cooler parent. Yes. You should have. Okay, thank you. Let me see. Who else would like to talk about this? This is very interesting because I feel like the world has really evolved, especially this 21st century, and that social media. Okay, you didn't mention social media, but anyways, I'm gonna come back to that. Brother, you have. What is the letter you would have given to your younger self? If your younger self is sitting with you right now.
Looking back to my younger self, I would. Looking back to my younger self, I would say, that determines everything, and I didn't have the information I am privy to today. Maturity takes time, growth takes time. So indeed, I would be more lenient on my younger self, like to take chances, take opportunities, try out different stuff, and just like Colin has said, to be rooted in the faith, I would say. So I look back to specific instances where perhaps I should have taken the bull by the horns in some certain situations, but one didn't. But you again see that with time I knew better, and if I had made those decisions then, I wouldn't necessarily have had the success I thought I would. So be faithful every day, and then eventually God would open those opportunities which is best for one. So there would always be the temptation for regrets, but I wasn't in the right. I wasn't equipped at the time for what I know now, right? So I tend to look at things that way. So I wouldn't have said, "Oh, I could have done this and that and this and that better," but rather, they were all learning experiences, which that determines it.
Okay, so this has just bring me to asking you a question. When you were younger, were you the type that was scared to take chances, and you just run away from troubles? Even when you
I was rather more cautious. I wasn't the very adventurous type, but of course I made some very daring decisions. But I look back to instances where there were a couple business ideas which maybe that's in the on business where perhaps I had ideas, and they will have big companies doing the very same thing. So maybe I could have taken the plunge then, but I took study with.
Okay, I believe a lot of people that may be hearing this right now could, probably younger than we are, could might want to heed to these advices. Like Colin said, he would have done economics even from kindergarten if that was possible. And then Bradavo said he might have just done the things even if he wasn't sure it's going to happen. All right, let me hear from another doctor in the house, a very special one in the house. Roland.
Yeah, that's it.
Where did this out?
Okay, I can go. I'm going ahead.
Yes,
Yeah. Okay.
please.
Yeah. Okay. To my younger self. Okay. Let's see. When you grow and you're young, like we didn't have the information like as Colin said, like now like young people can have. We be going to internet and search who is a pilot or who is this and that. Yeah, when I was maybe younger, I have a lot of dreams in my heart. I remember I want to be a pilot, like as all maybe young boys, and then later I wanted to enter the army. Then after that, I say, okay, maybe if I enter the army, I can like maybe later became like a pilot of yes, and enter maybe the army air force or something later. My dream changed. I wanted to be like an architect, and yeah, a lot of things. Then later, after finishing high school, I took another route like to go and study economics. Yeah, and as Collins also said, I could have maybe start doing mathematics, like as in like undergrad. In undergrad, I do start with mathematics and then move for maybe a master in economics. Yeah, because in economics we have a lot of mathematics. I used to have a good background in mathematics in high school, but when I went for like pure economics, the mathematics wasn't too like it was just like at a normal level, just to do economics, but it wasn't too deep. Yeah, but it's still okay, and I'm very thankful for what I have now and what I have achieved now, and yeah, how to say, yeah, my I also have the chance to um like to have maybe a good relationship with I can say God at my earlier age, and it helped me a lot in making decisions and yeah, in many things, and yeah, and also in time of difficulties, I also found some answers in the scripture, and it helped me a lot, and I believe God determined everything as David said. Maybe we have our own will, what we want to do, but we don't have the information about the future. And yeah,
Okay, so
this is what I just yeah.
okay, you said a lot, but I don't understand how you guys, both of you, say you would have studied economics and math from the younger age. Do you mean you'd have taken it seriously, more seriously at that time? Because I feel like all of us, we had mathematics in our primary, secondary school.
I think here the difference is the mathematics we had in secondary school or high school was just basic math. But in high school, you could decide to take math as a major.
Oh.
That's one. But also, you could as well do a bachelor's in mathematics, which gives you a very good background at the advanced level when you are doing economics. Because remember, economics is a course that cuts across the arts and sciences. It's like a bridge between both
of them. Oh, wow.
Yes. So yeah, it's a bit tough when you come to advanced level and you want to do economics and you don't have a very background in math. Okay. So some of us, yeah, we know the sleepless nights we took to make sure we are here. So we encourage all those coming to graduate school for economics. start practicing those numbers. Get those whiteboards already in your rooms to just keep practicing to be able to make sure you can achieve. But of course, it's not a myth that you can't study math. Even those who have not studied math can easily achieve a PhD in economics. We shouldn't.
No, I don't support that.
No.
I mean, you cannot have no math foundation and to graduate.
No, it's not no math. The good thing you've brought up a very good example that all of us have had chance to have a basic mathematics.
Okay.
And of course, what has helped us even pass, even them who have done economics at master's level, was because then we did teamwork.
Oh.
We did a lot of teamwork. We did
Okay.
study sessions after class. During COVID, we were studying. I think our courses should be celebrated because they're not post. You know, when it's a post-COVID course, it's different. But now this is a COVID achievement. So one of those times in our lives, if you just see a certificate, COVID degree, just accept and say yes. You know, something that happened that time that was good.
All right, so I believe we've all talked about the academic part, and Rowan talked about more of the spiritual part too. Colin, do you think you would have advised your younger self to like the spirituality part? What's the advice, or rather, what would you have done differently when you were young? Or if but that's
Yeah, no, forgive me, before we get to that,
okay.
I would love to add a little bit.
Please.
Colin is said, math is essential for the social sciences going forward, especially economics. But then again, in addition, need programming and computational skills too, right? So, because we would need to do a bit of modeling in Stata, in R, in Python, because many of the models one would have to compute are not, provided by the software. So you would have to tweak models and all that. So going forward, anyone jumping into economics, like they said, should have a strong math background, should also have some computational skills, some programming skills, then of course other skills like analytic writing, paper writing, those you would pick up, but math and some bit of programming and logic skills, logical reasoning or something. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Do you have anything to add up?
I think he said it all. And I think one advantage like this generation have is like we have AI. I think with AI you can learn a lot, and you can like how to say learn by yourself, and have like a good foundation in office programming. And yes, I think AI can help a lot. As I said, we didn't like when the generation like in between the technology and like the former school. And now I think the young people have more chances to learn a lot. Because in our time we didn't have like you just go to the library and just study with what the teacher wrote in the blackboard, and you have just maybe a book. You don't have necessarily like internet to go and check what is this formula mean and how to do this programming. But now I think from even first year of bachelor you can have access to all these resources. I think it's a very good advantage like we didn't have like when we were like starting economics courses. Thank you.
Okay, so let's just start with you then.
Okay.
When it comes to social life and spirituality, and probably there is this magic that having a young self, maybe 10 years younger, sitting very close to your ear and seeking advice from you now 10 years older. You have talked socially in the world right now?
Yeah. Yes. First, let's start with the spiritual life. I think, 10 years back, if I have maybe like, what I could say is to be rooted, like in the Lord, and be faithful, like keep your how to say, like trust in God, put your trust in God, and to not let yourself maybe like going according to the flow of the world. Yes, this thing we see now. Yeah, and yeah, and also to listen to the advice from elders, like those who spent like many years in the faith, and also things like people don't do often is they don't express things like in their heart. Many young people are shy; they don't want to tell what is happening inside their heart. I think for me, you need to express that, to tell everything. Don't hide. Maybe you don't have to tell it to everybody, but find one or two person like you believe they are maybe like more advanced than you, and tell and talk to them. Yeah, they can guide you. Could be your parents, or maybe some like elder in the church, or it could be a pastor, like any person you can find. And I think it will be good. Don't struggle by yourself with things. Yeah.
Wow, that's a very important one.
Yeah.
And because maybe 10 years ago we didn't have Instagram, and what was gonna be the thing you would have told him to look out for this internet age? Because you're here right now, although you're older, but you're still in the world right now. What would you have told him to look out for, or like you just mentioned, not follow what everyone's going through? And I believe as a young person, I also definitely agree with that. The social media can be overwhelming, and if you're not strong in your faith and also strong in yourself, you might just follow what everyone is talking about, where everyone is going to. So what would you have told him to look out for? And maybe like 5 years later or later.
I think as I said, I like the example of there's one bamboo. I forgot the name. I think it's in Japan. That bamboo, I saw one video on it. They say that bamboo like spend more than, they say, 2 or 4 years, like dipping its roots. Like you can maybe put the seed here, and then you see after a certain, like maybe 1 year or 2, I can't recall the exact time, but it will not grow, but it take the time like to, like, yes, to put his root, like dig in the soil. Then when it's ready, in just a few like months, it start growing like, yes, very quickly. Yeah. Then I think the internet, social media, Instagram, all these things are like this outside world, like the upper part, when things are moving very fast. Yeah, I think we don't need to follow all these things, but we need first to try to put our like roots, the foundation first. Then if you have the foundation, you can enter this new space, but you know where you are going. Yeah, but if you don't have the roots and you enter, that's you will be lost. Yeah,
lost
in the world. Yeah, it's better to get that root first before you enter new.
Okay. Socially, the younger Colin.
I think the younger Colin socially would try to make sure they keep most of the connections they had when they were younger. I believe that most of the friendships we had when we were younger were very pure.
Exactly.
We actually used to be friends for nothing. Here we are friends for something. In this generation, when you're asking out a girl, the first thing she asks, do you have money?
You have money.
And you be able to look after me. Do you have these things and ABCD? But those days when we were younger, you're just a friend to Roland because he's next door, because you play with him,
Yeah.
because you
that's true.
eat food at their house, because you do your tasks together. When
Because
they
your
ask you to go
mom-
and bring water, you go and bring it
Mm.
together. So I would treasure the friendships I had when I was younger because they were pure.
Sure.
In the life where we are, at the places where we work, at the places where we study, we are friends because of something. We're friends because we went to the same school. So if you literally maybe didn't go to the same school, maybe
you
we
might
wouldn't
not
be
have been
friends.
friends.
But that is one thing I would definitely advise my younger self. And maybe also my younger self would want to understand quite a lot what our parents used to advise us. You know, our parents were like Jesus. They used to say a lot of these things in parables.
Exactly.
Yes, like
Exactly.
they tell a girl, don't do ABCD. The girl doesn't know, she just doesn't do it.
Yeah.
They'll tell you, don't eat at Roland's house because they have a reason. But they'll never tell you.
Tell you.
And you have to either follow it. They beat you and they say, don't cry. So there were very, very many things happening in the younger
That's
self.
true.
So I would definitely maybe in this younger generation, like I have my niece, she really questions the mother. Says, why are you doing this? Why are you doing ABCD? And the mother answers. And for us, our parents, you couldn't ask them. How do you ask your father?
Yes. When you ask them, they beat you again.
Yes, and I remember that the seniors used to use the younger ones. And tell
Yeah.
daddy we want to eat chicken. Then they say, but are you the one who wants to eat chicken? then the younger one goes back to Davo. He has asked me, am I the one who wants to eat chicken? Davo says, go back and say you will go. And then he goes back and says, I want to eat chicken. Then the dad says, no, you're not the one. All of you want to go, so let's go. So maybe I would advise my younger self that way. And maybe you asked about the spiritual life. I think when we were younger also, majority of us had collective faith. Why? When our dad or mom went to church, we went to church.
Follow them.
It wasn't really, in most cases, a decision of like, Daddy, I'm so excited to go to church.
Yeah.
Man, that day you might have slept because it was Saturday, you didn't go to school, you slept late watching
So late,
something
yeah.
or did something. When they ask you for that day, oh my God, you don't want. Oh, there was an incentive that if you go to church, you'll have a special meal after church. So maybe, yes.
A rice and a chicken.
The chicken, okay. So sometimes you're looking out for the incentive
Mhm.
than the church.
That's
So,
right.
yes,
That's
so-
right. That's right.
So that would be also some advice I would give to my younger self spiritually. Yes, of course, I had very good experiences because I remember I went overnight when I was even, I think, 6 or 7 with my grandmother. So, yes, been down there to that realm of coldness and praying through the night. But yes, maybe if the younger self had even understood better that level, maybe the level of excellency and the way I look at things would have been better. Been trusting in the Lord, now when the flesh is fighting the spirit, and then you're saying,
Exactly.
oh God, this and this, then God has said something, then you feel you want to have everything under control. And
No
yet
balance.
you can't definitely have that. That's my take on things.
So I would thank you. I would like to come back to the first thing you said about the friendship part, and I totally agree with you. Especially this abroad thing. I feel like everyone has a goal, and if you're not serving my purpose, I'm just gonna defriend you. A lot of people do that. So if your younger self, maybe he didn't have an idea about this, how would you have prepared him to expecting this kind of friendships in 10 years later? Because probably you didn't expect that when you were little. I mean, you had a pure friendship, and then while growing up and you moved over probably to China, and you see that a lot of friendship has to be defined. Were you prepared for it? Were you expecting it, or you just...
No, when you're young, you're naive. You don't necessarily have all these goals of saying, I know there's some people in my country who are very intentional. That if therefore goes to a school, I'll ask my parent to go to that school. Sometimes they allow, sometimes they don't allow. But I think looking at the life of some people abroad and families abroad in the US and stuff, some of them have tried to be very intentional about their friendships. You could actually have someone who will tell you, I've been friends with Jen for 10 years or 20 years and I've been in the same school and in the same system. That's quite very hard. I tell my mom that my mom has had a chance to have a friend for the last 50 years.
50 years.
Yes,
Wow.
and for me, I keep asking, how comes I can't have such a challenge? I don't have a friend for like the last years
10
I've been.
years.
No, not 10 years, but the last time I've been on Earth. Because if my mom has had a friend for 50 years, that means they got to be friends when we were 10.
10. Aww.
Yeah, because she's on 6th floor. So I want to be able to see these friendships mature in my children, mature, and us also be intentional. Because when you're intentional, then maybe when you grow, you'll go on Facebook and search. Jean Bernard, she used to call herself Jean 2, or what was her son name, or Jean Chilas, or things like that.
Jesus
And you try
Christ.
to look out what names they were using, and you
Okay.
try to get in contact with them, because these connections were pure, and the people were doing things from a level of purity. So I believe that it was a time, or it's a time, when friendships made sense, when you're sharing the little grab you're given, when you don't want to share your food they brought for you on video with the others, and you call your friend, Roland, come. Then you're eating it in the dark. And then you just see a light, unfortunately, coming on. That one, Roland, stop eating your food. And then, yeah, then you have to share it. So
I get it.
I think I would definitely do that, because even here, China's experience gives you the vibe or the feel of being in a lower level of education. Why? Because when you are, for example, in my country, you're in primary school, you move to different schools. Some will go to the same school, some will go to different schools. Because of that connection that you may go to another district, to another country, it reduces your level of communication if you're not intentional. So it's the same thing like here. If all of us are in the same class and we go back to our home countries and we're not intentional about communication, it will die automatically.
That's true.
It will
That's
die
true.
automatically. And I think also those days our friendships were not necessarily tied to sex, gender. Right now, when you're getting closer to a girl, they think you want to ask them out. When you're getting closer to a guy, maybe he thinks he can have a chance to have a relationship or things like that. So the friendships also now are very sidelined on things like that. That's maybe one of
That's
the
true.
parties
That's
is trying to expect something.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to find many people trying to shy away from friendships.
Friendships. Oh my
Even if they were
gosh.
supposed to be pure, but because they're saying, I've heard in my country they say that you can't have a male bestie.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Yes.
they've been saying that all the while.
Yeah, so male besties. Okay, of course, there's some people have just destroyed it because
that's
the male
true.
besties are actually having friendship
Yeah.
benefit and things like that. So it's getting a bit worse, and that's
Yeah.
one. But then also, I think as well, the friendships now are not very authentic. I show you what you want to see.
That's true.
What you don't want to see, I don't show it to you. So they're not very authentic. For example, if it's a girl and you want to ask her out, all the times you go out on a date, she'll show you what she wants you to see.
Just see.
Yes, but when you come and settle with her in your house or in her house, then you definitely say, oh my God, you even can do this?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but before you're not seeing it. So I believe there's that level of disparity in terms of our friendships now. So that's why I think even now, for me already, I would advise myself now to be actually very intentional about the friendships, because very soon we'll be out of here, and man, it's your decision. You either text Davo or you let it die, or you call Davo or you go to Kaduna. If not that, so you just decide not Davo sending an invitation for a wedding, and then that's when you have to go. But then you be intentional, man. You can. You're coming from a place, and then you know there's a quick dash you can do in Kaduna. Yeah, I can't see your people. I like it that Roland here sometimes is talking to the mother and says, say hi to my friends. And then yes, you can be able to say it. And like my parents know, even when I was coming, they say, oh, you're going to catch up with your friends. They were really good friends. Go and be able to catch up with them. So this helps you. And for me, this has also showed me the importance of friendships. I've come back here, and after 2 years, man, everyone you're meeting, they're just telling you, can we go for dinner? Can we go for lunch? And then you're like, okay. And so just has reminded me that us being very intentional about our friendships will yield. Because today it may just look like a class thing. You are chilling together, you're doing work together. But man, even beyond looking at help,
That's true.
someone can sort you in a no-go area. And me, I've seen it. So that's why I believe that these friendships should be intentional. But not intentional that you're expecting something. But intentional that you can be able to... Because one, you've had a chance not to just have friends from Uganda. Like your friends from Cote d'Ivoire, your friends from Nigeria, and here it's squared, friends squared from Nigeria. So you can be able to be in Nigeria, and you have two homes.
You just say, hey, Jane,
Yes, hey,
hey,
Jane. And when you're going to Jane's home, you make sure you even write an apology. I'm not in love with your daughter. I'm just a friend, and all the things like this.
Okay, no one asked you that,
Yeah,
but
thank
whatever.
you.
All right, but Davo, sorry for taking a long time to asking you this question. I'm gonna hand over the mic to you. So what's your take on this? If your younger self is sitting right here with you, what would you advise him to look out for in the world 10 years later? Let's just say you have a 10-year-old kid.
Yeah. Valid points given by both Roland and Colin. Yeah, so I would just say really that growth and maturity takes time. You know, time would need to pass by. You know, there's some things which a 10-year-old would never comprehend, but will appreciate when he's 20, when he's 30. So growth and maturity takes time, but those formative years are critical, just like he said. So from a Christian background, have those biblical truths. You know, I still remember we call him Uncle Ignatius. You know, he taught us at Sunday school. So those very formative years where basic Bible truths are taught, then you go on to the teenage years, early teenage years, before you leave home. Those are the days for foundation digging, my dad would say. You know, so digging the foundation, laying the foundation. Then, when you said you can shoot up, and then with God's help, be able to keep relationships, the right relationships, you know, and also continue in fellowship, you know. So I would also say that yes, looking back, I've not kept any friendships. A lot of them I have lost, but yeah, surprisingly, when we do catch up, it's as though we have never left, you know. But being intentional, like you said, is important, because I have in recent times, for example, I reached out to someone we studied bachelor's with, you know, many years ago at Donald. Yeah, I reached out to another. We studied a master's too, you know, and I got warm responses, and I felt honored, right? But then again, I saw that indeed I should have kept tabs with them all this while, you know. So yeah, that's something I would say to my younger self, right? You're perhaps not in it for something, but he's graduated, congratulations. He's moved on to a new job, congratulations. He's married, or he's getting married. If you can go celebrate with him or her, you know, that would go a long way, especially as we build networks into our careers and all that. So yeah, that's it for time has to pass. and that calls for patience, but being faithful in those early years, which largely also comes down to parental, guidance, and then, yeah, those are critical. Then of course, when we were younger, we never understood. Like he said, don't do this, but you try to rationalize it, but you don't get it, and you can't get it. You tell a young high schooler, a young high school lady about things pertaining relationships. They see that you're a drag, you're a spoiler. They don't get it. While in a few years from that time, they look back and what was I thinking? Yeah. So yeah, some of those they take time. Some of those experiences come into maturity, but yeah, submit to those who have gone before you, and take advice, and be patient. Then you would make good progress.
Thank you. The other day I posted on my WeChat, I was like, my podcast sessions are very therapeutical. And I brought this topic because I wanted to hear your advices, at least before you go back to your countries. Because I feel like I'm in that stage, although I'm not old and I'm not so young, but I'm in that stage where I love to talk to people that are way older than I am. I think my oldest audience he's 65, and I was just talking with him like we were friends, like normal people. And I love what Colin talked about, intentionalism, being intentional. I am never intentional. I think I started being intentional, was it last year or this year? Just very recent. I used to be like, you know what, we've graduated and bye from there. But I remember, I think when I was still doing business, I was exporting to Nigeria, and most of my customers were my high school classmates. I am not kidding you. And it was real. And actually recently, a friend of mine, he came from Nigeria to China. We've been friends from when we were 4. That's about 22 years now. He came and I'm supposed to meet him next week. So I don't know, but it felt like a brother. There are some friends that you may be with, they feel like family already. And I feel like what Colin said hits me very much. And I just have to remember him. When he came, I could speak Chinese. The connection, he got to China. I was on call with him until he settled in China. And he got me a lot of things from Nigeria. I was supposed to pay him, was like, no, don't pay. I'm like, bro, what's up? These are intentional friends. And I believe that after this podcast, I'm really going to think about it, and I'm going to have a very intentional friendships. I'm going to start with Colin's friendship. I'm going to try not to lose connection with Colin. He went back to his country 2 years ago, and I was very mad at him because I didn't know why. And I didn't know why he left. But then later on, we I think, when did we come back to talking about it? On WeChat, or was it when we came back?
WeChat.
On WeChat.
When you talked about this brother, I thought, in my country, when you have to become a brother to someone.
No, it's wait.
That was 4 years ago. So I'm just telling you how we do it. How to do the Red Brotherhood. So there's a coffee cotyledon seed, which people used to practice it maybe 30 years, 40 years ago. And I is my mom that she did it. So there's a cotyledon of a coffee seed. So they cut it into pieces, so they become 2.
Colin.
So one person puts their blood and puts it on that cotyledon, and the other on the other, and then they exchange, and then they become brother and sister.
No, wait, don't.
No,
let's not go back to what I said.
That is our bond.
Okay, it's not a bond. I just see him as my brother because it's been over years of knowing this person. So to me, he's family.
No, yes, that's what I'm saying, that these three doctors we should do something so that we can also be able But when you're coming to China, you can be on call.
I
to
will.
make
Oh,
sure.
of course.
Okay.
Then.
Yeah.
Without this podcast, you should know I am
I'm going
very.
to order for the seeds, and then we'll do it. Maybe we could even record it here, and your audience can know one of those cultures they do in Uganda.
Okay, whatever. Colin.
Yes.
So you guys, these are really a very nice session. I mean, topics with Davil, Colin, and Roland. And let me think of something I could ask, because I've got an intentional friendship with him through him, and I've gotten like building a very good foundation, which I believe it's very important to young people. Don't just put seeds in so many places when it comes to social life, and because internet is giving you what and you want to have what internet is giving you. Probably in next year internet is going to give you another thing. So do you want to keep following the internet? What if you get to run out, maybe you get tired even before you clock 30, and I believe that a lot of young people, we should listen, because we want to try everything. I mean, trying everything is great, but what if you try everything and you get worn out before 30? Life might just be boring, because life actually starts at 30. So I believe getting experience is better, and listening to people that are older than you is better than trying some things yourself. That is my belief. I have limits to what I can do before. Now I'm still very young, and instead of doing what I feel like I want to do, I rather listen to people that have done what I want to do. So I hear from them. If they tell me, oh, this is my experience, and the end part is, but I regret it, I would just run away from that thing. That is me. That is how I do my thing. And I think that is why I thought of having a podcast 4 months ago, because I was just having a YouTube channel, interviews and all of that. But I wanted to try a lot of things, and I was going through a lot of things at that moment. I thought to myself, like, wait, what if I talk to a lot of people that might have tried what I wanted to try and hear from their own story? That might actually like save me from a lot of trouble. So I started my podcast, and I started hearing people's story. Someone was in China for 15 years. Someone, this a lot, you guys, a lot. My podcast session has been a big lesson. And Brother, I love what he talked about. He wasn't intentional about his friendship while he was younger, but he knew, or rather he learned to do that just of recent. So I feel like if we young people can listen to more of these kind of people or these kind of podcasts, it can actually help us pave way and give us that, not really straight line, but it can help us overcome some uncertainties in our later lives. Okay, so that is my question. I'm not sure if any other person have a contribution, a question, or an idea, advice, or something.
Are we allowed to ask you a question?
Oh Jesus, yeah, sure.
Yeah, of course. When you're saying the younger people are younger, you're making us look so old. But I won't go there. But for me,
okay.
For me, the question is: you've been able to listen to quite very many people on your podcast.
Yeah.
65, some different people, and you're saying it being about 4 months. What has been your achievement? What have you achieved in the different areas? Because you see, there's one thing to listen, but there's also another thing to act. Because I think acting is one of the hardest things. We listen to quite many things now, but we act on a few.
We choose to.
Yes. So for you, over the last 4 months, what's that one thing you have acted on and you have actually seen progress? Because then your community needs to also understand that when they act on information which is either intentional or information that is eye-opening, it helps them get to a certain level in their life.
Okay, you guys, I would not talk about one thing, but I will talk about a lot of things.
Pick out a few because
Okay, just a few. I will talk about my recent, the recent upload, the one I sent you. Ouch. That was about self sabotage, and I don't know how God did it, but I had that in the week. I was having a problem related to that. I was suffering mentally about, because I wanted to do a lot of things, and I just feel like Jane, you should do this. And at that point, I was like, okay, maybe I'm not enough. I was just having self doubts and self sabotage. And I had a podcast with 3 people. To be honest with you, there's a Mongolian person sitting close to me. He was not supposed to be on my podcast. I met him 15 minutes before the podcast for the very first time ever. But I was like, sure, join my podcast. And I realized he was a monk, the guy just sitting close to me. And I don't know, but that podcast helped me a lot. I picked every little details from that podcast, and I was applying it to my life. When the lady Valeria talked about giving yourself time to heal from the things you're overwhelmed about, I had to use the whole week to do that. And to be honest with you, in 1 week, I think in 1 week or 8 days, I was good. And I had to, she also, I think it was, yeah, maybe Valeria, or because there are 2 Russians and 1 Mongolia. Albert mentioned trying to get out of the space and maybe go out to nature. I had to start picking all their stuff one by one and adding it to what I'm supposed to do. I was taking their advice, and the one that helped me even more was when the Mongolian guy said that this world, we should be like water. We should be as flexible as a water, meaning that we should try to fit into the situation we are in at any given time. Do not, how do I put it? Do not try to force to control a situation which you cannot control. Yes, so I picked that podcast actually talked to me, and since then I have been more happy. Just 2 weeks or last week actually, I have been very happy. I have been more grateful, because one thing about me is I am very grateful and I try to be content with what I have. But that podcast helped me a lot. And another one was when I talked with Brent from America, Stella, Blessing, 2 Nigerians and 1 American, about living in China or getting out of China. Brent has been here for 15 years. Sorry for that. So he's been here for 15 years, and he had to brief his stories about being in China as an American, why or why not to be in China. So I had to go back to myself and be like, if I stay in China and I've heard this person's story, what are the things I might be expecting? Because I was supposed to leave China after my bachelor's, you guys, and that has already been sorted out. But I just don't know how God made me stay here again. And that podcast, if I did not have that podcast, I wouldn't be more convinced to stay here again. Yeah, so when you talk about what have I gotten from my podcast, I'm sorry, but it is a lot. I can keep going back to when I talked about relationship with 1 Cameroonian, 1 Sierra Leonean, and 1 Nigerian, and also talked about culture with, two, in fact, a lot of people, and also a Chinese, a lot of things. And I feel like my podcast, I don't know if it's helping other people the way it's helping me, but it has changed a whole lot. I can go on and on and on and on. Yeah. Do you have any other question? Roland. Davro? Roland. Did I answer your question, by the way?
yeah, you definitely, because they
Yes.
used to tell us in school that when you go out there to try to teach the rest of your classmates, you learn more
Yes.
than they think we are
Yes.
learning.
Yes.
So, and I wanted them to know that you're actually learning,
I am.
and you are doing well.
And please, I am not teaching a podcast. Actually, this is a means for me to learn. And what was the push button to when I decided to have a podcast was because I could be on the call with someone very important, but it's not recorded. I cannot go back to it. And I'm this kind of person, like Roland said, do not keep anything to yourself. You cannot solve everything. And I'm this kind of person that I am very open. I'm a very open book. I love to travel. I love to share my experiences. And I have this notion because, Nigeria, we used to say village people. I do not believe in village people. It means you think other people are thinking bad of you. I do not believe that, actually, because I always believe that if God can be for me, I'm not sure anyone can be against me. So if I want to say something, if you don't pay me money, you don't care. I mean, you're not that important. So people that are important to me in my life is God, my family, and probably people that give me money. That's my bosses or whatever. So I like to ask for advice when I feel lost. I like to pray with people when I cannot pray by myself. So I was having a lot of information from people, but not recorded. So I was like, why not own a podcast where you can have a longer conversation? Because I used to do that on YouTube, just 12 minutes, 20 minutes. So I said, why not own a podcast? Other people might want to get the information you're getting. That was why I started a podcast channel. Not because YouTube pays for my podcast channel, but they don't pay me extra, maybe like 0.01 coin or something. But that was not the goal. I wanted to own something I can 10 years later go back to and listen to them. Yes. And another reason is I may not meet a lot of people maybe next year or 5 years later, but I can always go to my podcast channel, my YouTube channel, and see the time I had a video recording with them. So yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe there was some point I think I also picked from that conversation on the Mongolia.
Yes.
Talking about, back home we also have a parable kind of.
Parable.
Is it a parable or a saying or a proverb, something that falls in, I don't know. Most of these African things, I don't know how to term them. They fall.
Problems.
Yeah, they fall in very many. Sometimes it's like a parable, sometimes it's a proverb. So it's something also about water. It says, as in the water flows, even in places it doesn't always flow. So that means the water is flexible. It will pass here, it will pass there, it will pass there. So it always passes, even in places it has never passed. So for me, it's also about the connection of that you have a saying and you think it's too Ugandan, yet it still speaks volumes in Mongolia, in China.
It's true.
And you find it here as well. So yeah, definitely God was also very intentional in our creation that you will be a different skin color. But
exactly.
It's the same color of blood. But then you have some sayings or some words, like in Africa, where Ubuntu, you'll hear someone say something and it sort of feels like, yes, it sort of feels like a word in your language. Or like you just said, villagers, like for us, the saying back home is that it's very easy for you to be gotten from the village, but it's hard to get the village out of you. So there are things which somehow resonate from country to country, which I believe is a very good thing to appreciate, cultures and quite a lot to learn for all of us. So already now for me, I've picked out quite a lot. I'm going to go there out there and I've become a senior.
Okay, maybe, of course. And you can always check my podcast. And sadly enough, I met this guy 15 minutes. We had a podcast, and 2 days later, he's out of Guinea. So my podcast can be very emotional. I could have a podcast with people that have probably the last days to be in China.
Oh my God, like
me. Colin, Jesus Christ.
I'm sad. Is there a tissue? Is there a tissue? I'm sad.
I mean, these are always going to be memories, you guys. And not only about the conversations, but about being intentional. Like Colin just said. All right, Roland, I'm sorry we've been talking. There you go.
Yeah, I don't have a question, but yeah, I learned too. I learned a lot from what you just said, and going to the same observation Colin made from the quote of the monk. Yeah, I think it's something like we should all learn. Yeah, and I think young people especially need also to have to be like water. Yeah, because we have like our own desire, but the life is not straight. The life is not like a straight line. Yeah, there is many things can happen when you are like following your a path, but you have to be able to adapt yourself to any situation in front of you. Yeah, this is what I think. This is I think one of the great like ability young people should try to learn. And yeah, even not only young people, but I think for like even for us and everyone. Yeah, yeah, yeah. If you maybe fail to an exam, or you want to enter maybe this maybe prestigious school or university and you fail, the life is not in there. You just we are trying to find like where God like give you the chance or the opportunity. Just use that one and continue like moving. Yeah, and you finish somewhere. Yeah, that is it. Yeah, do not maybe just stand on maybe yes the lost or past experience or maybe past failure. No, no, no. You just have to move on. Yeah, everything. And it's also remind me someone one of our classmates. Maybe I'm not tell the name, but that classmate have like maybe many person in the past did something like to her, and she have like it's difficult for him to forgive, and because of that, it's even affect her study now. Yeah, she cannot even like study efficiently because she like keep yes keep a lot of meal, and I think this message will be very good for her to yeah to
I really
just
hope you
yeah
let go and be like water.
yeah water yeah very important very important yeah, and this is what also we learned today, and yeah thank you, yeah this is what I wanted to say.
Thank you. Damo, do you have anything?
Yeah.
You're trying to be like water now. So you're trying
Ah, I see. Yeah. I will again say, our Heavenly Father determines everything, right? So, um, coming out of COVID, you know,
Jesus.
has
Oh my God.
has reinforced this that indeed we ought to be dynamic, we ought to be fluid, you know. Coming out from COVID has reinforced the need to be dynamic, to be fluid, and yeah, cheerful and joyful as we go about life. You know, we had numerous twists and turns, we had swerves, we went through lockdowns, isolations, you know, and through it all, you know, God granted grace to still excel, right? So we came here, we had to adapt our taste buds to Chinese food. We were at a point in isolation for over a week, but you still had to do research, you know. We had journal publications with various rounds of review, you know. So as yeah, just coming up from that, we take it with thanks and trust God to bring some light, and then you move on. Yeah, many have perhaps had a delay, many are struggling to study in a foreign language, you know. So, but indeed, it's just a phase for which it's also God's education, God's training ground. So it doesn't mean you're nothing, right? but whatever is presented, you make lemonade from lemons. Yeah? So yeah, adaptability, being dynamic, and just keeping a positive attitude. If one doesn't, then one is then a prisoner of the past, right? For example, going along with an unforgiving attitude. Someone is late, someone is in a city several kilometers away, but you're here, or I'm here, and burning, right? Who is now the master? He is the master, and I'm a slave to just a feeling, So yeah, but I've also come to realize that the matters of the heart is beyond brute force. It has to take God renewing our hearts. So, but yeah, being dynamic, like water, it says, how as they say, like water doesn't have enemies.
Yes,
that's
true.
in the local Nigerian slang. And water always finds its way. The local Nigerian slang. So yeah, that's true.
Okay,
when
so
it comes to life.
this has just reminded me of being intentional
Thank you.
about everything. All right,
Thank you.
that's a bye from Davo.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, see you.
See you guys. Bye.
Thank you.
About everything. All right,
Thank you.
that's a bye from Davo.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, see you.
See you guys. Bye.